For 35 years, that's a long time, one single program has pretty much owned Sunday nights in the summer. Well, that tradition, it's over. Today, we're going to dig into why ESPN is making this absolutely massive bet, one that could literally redefine primetime for a whole new generation of sports fans. Yeah, for decades, if you were a sports fan, Sunday night in the summer meant one thing, right? Baseball. But that appointment viewing, that thing you just always knew was on, it's being replaced, and this is a huge shift in the whole programming landscape. Yep, you heard that right, 35 years. ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, this was a pillar of sports programming, and it's over. Just like that, an entire era of broadcasting has officially come to a close. So you can imagine this leaves a massive hole in the primetime schedule. The big question, the one everyone's asking, is what's next? What does ESPN think is big enough, important enough to take over this iconic 35-year-old time slot? Well, here's the answer. And let me tell you, ESPN isn't just plugging a hole here. Nope. They're launching an entirely new franchise. They're hoping to build the next great television mainstay from the ground up. It's called Women's Sports Sundays, and this is going to be a new dedicated primetime hub for the absolute best matchups from the WNBA, that's the Women's National Basketball Association, and the National Women's Soccer League. And you got to understand, this is not just some simple schedule change. This is a massive strategic investment. When you put it side by side like this, you really see the scale of this pivot, don't you? We're going from a 35-year legacy built on Major League Baseball to a brand new franchise built around the WNBA and the NWSL. That's about as clear a signal as you can get about where ESPN thinks the future of sports viewership is headed. And look, this isn't just some vague concept they're throwing out there. No way. ESPN has a super well-defined plan. Right out of the gate, we're talking 9 weeks of primetime games featuring the best teams, the biggest stars from both leagues. And on top of that, it's going to have custom-built studio shows. And get this, they're already thinking about expanding it to other times of the year. Okay, so the big question is, why now? A move this huge doesn't just happen out of the blue, right? It turns out this was the result of a perfect storm of events that created this one-of-a-kind opportunity. So here's how it all went down. First, you've got this undeniable surge in viewership and just general interest in women's sports. It's booming. At the exact same time, ESPN reworks its big deal with Major League Baseball. And boom, that change suddenly frees up that prized Sunday night slot. The network saw their chance, and man, they did not waste any time seizing the moment. And listen to this quote from Susie Peterkowski. She's an ESPN VP for women's sports programming. It really gets to the heart of their mindset. She says this wasn't some mad scramble to fill a void. No, it was a calculated, totally intentional decision to elevate what they call their most premium women's sports properties into a regular, high-profile showcase. All right, so this is a really crucial point. We have to understand the level of commitment here. This is not ESPN just, dipping its toe in the water to test things out. No, this is a full-on cannonball into the deep end. Rosalind Durant, another executive VP at ESPN, she put it really bluntly. She called it a flag in the ground. That kind of language, that tells you this isn't some short-term experiment. It is a full-on declaration of a long-term strategy. And hey, if you need any more proof of how invested they are internally, just think about this number, 60. 60. That's how many people from all over ESPN have been meeting regularly just to develop this concept. That's a massive, massive amount of resources and brainpower. And you know what's really interesting? ESPN isn't going at this alone. Not at all. They are riding a much, much bigger industry wave. You've got major advertisers like Ally putting the vast majority of their ad money here. Global media agencies are literally creating brand new marketplaces just for women's sports. The money is flowing, and the momentum is just undeniable. So what's the end game here? What does success even look like, say, 5 years down the road? Well, the ambition is anything but small. They want to create a whole new sports habit for all of us. And here's that vision, again, from Rosalind Durant. The big goal is for Women's Sports Sundays to become a mainstay. They want you to automatically think, oh, it's Sunday night in the summer, I'm going to watch the WNBA or the NWSL, just like people did with baseball for the last 3.5 decades. It's a huge goal. When you boil it all down, this whole strategy is built on one core belief. Fans love compelling competition and incredible athletes. Simple as that. ESPN is betting big that a great game is a great game and that a huge audience will show up for high-quality sports, period. End of story. Which kind of leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question, doesn't it? You have a legacy men's sports program being replaced by a brand new, flagship women's sports franchise in one of the most valuable time slots in all of television. It is such a bold, decisive move. And it really makes you wonder, are we watching the future of sports media get built right in front of our eyes in primetime? I guess we'll just have to tune in and see.